Fight fans, welcome to NFA 13's pre-show. We are live here in St. Louis, Missouri at Bally Sports Live in Ballpark Village. I'm Lance Declue, I am your host, and I am joined by Bellator vet and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Jordan Dowdy, as well as UFC vet and the human highlight reel Adam Sella. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing good. I do got to point out, congratulations, Jordan Dowdy just got his black belt. That's a big deal. You know, it's cool for us. It's cool being your friend, but it's cool being a training partner. And now I get to submit a black belt.
In your dreams.
I've got it on video. I will show it.
I've seen the video. It is true. It does exist.
How are you, Lance?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, we're here. It's a beautiful area. It's our first time being here. I'm really excited for the fight card. We have a great fight card. We have a lot of fights. We're not going to be able to cover them all. So if you think you're coming to see a fighter and you don't hear their name, they are probably still on it. We just don't have the time for that. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So we're going to start off with Toby Javillo versus Gino Reeves at 205.
Well, Toby's coming off of a loss in his last fight, if I remember correctly, so he's looking to get back on the win streak here. He trains at Alton Family Martial Arts. I mean, he always sells a good amount of tickets, and he has fun with it. He comes out, he puts on a show, and he put together a couple fight winning streak last year before this little hiccup, and I'll be interested to see what he's been working on, what he's going to bring back, because technically it's a new year, it's a new start. What's your competition year going to look like?
Absolutely. So Gino Reeves he's making his debut. He was on me for the past, I think, 3 or 4 fight cards trying to get on here. So he's definitely wanting the fight. Adam, tell us, what about those debut nerves?
So debut nerves, it's a little bit weird because I've done this for so long and Jordan's done it for so long. It's kind of hard to think back when you first started. I had nerves. Every single fight, when you would walk out, you'd be nervous, but it was more nervous not because, what happens if I get beat up? What happens if this? What happens if that? It was little stuff like, okay, do I have my cup? Do I have my mouthpiece? Are my hands wrapped okay? Am I going to slip going up the stairs? Things like that. But for a debut fight, he's going to be thinking, okay, what is this guy going to do? And for me specifically, I never thought about what they're going to do. I thought, well, what am I going to do? And just to kind of circle back how you said he's been trying to get on the show, NFA's been bringing the greatest show in St. Louis for years now. And, I mean, you do the matchmaking, you see the line's a mile long for people that want to get on. And now we're here at Bally's. This place is badass.
I was going to say even more so for this card.
Yeah, no, we were just talking about it before this. It's going to be, kind of step away from the fights real quick. This is going to be a cool event to come to. Whether you're a fan of fighting or you're just a social person, this is going to be awesome. And, I mean, I know a lot of the tickets are already sold out, but this is going to be an awesome event. Now, to go back to the fight, that being said, this place is going to be jam-packed. Gino may have some nerves. Toby's going to have some nerves. Just being in front of, thousands of people, whatever this place fits, I don't even know. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, we're staring at it. It's actually behind the camera, and we keep looking back. It's an amazing view. It's going to look amazing, I'm sure. So then next up we have Josh Halbert versus Jake Kaiser, and that's going to be at 170.
And Jake in his debut looked really good. It was short notice. He moved up a couple weight classes, and he took on Toby Javillo, who we were just talking about. And he's out of Wise Warriors MMA. We've talked about Ray Norris and his gym multiple times on here. They're just pumping out talent, and I thought he looked really good in his debut. He's coming off of a loss in his last fight, but it's that first loss that you get to see really what you need to work on. I mean, if you go out there and just dog walk somebody, you don't really learn so much from it. Every experience is a good experience, but whenever someone exposes something in your game or you actually feel a deficit somewhere in competition, you go back to the drawing board in the training room, you address those, and then you upgrade. And I'm interested to see what he brings after that.
Yeah, and Josh Halbert, though it's his MMA debut, he is 1-0 in kickboxing. He's out of Victory. We know that's a tough gym. Adam, how do you feel about this fight?
So anytime Ray Norris and Wise Warriors is in the fight, I'm excited. Jordan, we talked about it, how these guys, they always come, you can't even say it's like the highest skill set. It's everything. They've got the skill set, the jiu-jitsu, the kickboxing, but it's the game plan, the coaching that goes into it. And I think that's where Ray Norris needs to get a little bit of credit because, yes, it's the fighter that's in there, but his fighters are almost like video game characters. When he says this, they do this. When he says that, they do that. And that's one thing that I've really liked seeing with the progression, especially out of Wise Warriors. I think it's he's got a lot of high-level talent there.
Well, and he's got that old-school Steve Berger mindset. Mm-hmm. That's where he came from. A lot of the newer people won't know who we're talking about, unfortunately. But that gym back in the day, they were grinders. They were they could win on toughness.
Hard-nosed, yeah.
Yes.
Very much so. After that, so we got Terry Copeland versus Mario Hudgens at 205.
And Terry Copeland, he's had fights where he's shown up and looked great, and he's had some where he's not. And I think there's been some personal stuff. You know, you're that age where you're trying to figure out your life, even outside of the gym. But his strength of schedule is incredibly tough. I mean, he's fought everybody. I don't know if he's even turned a fight down. Like some
Not
of
to
these
my
guys at
knowledge,
this
no.
weight class, there's not many of them out there. So whenever they're in that 205, 185 amateur range, they're running into a tough crowd there. And also, training out of Smith Pit, we know he's got good training partners. And if he shows up, he's a lot of fun to watch.
Well, Terry, it's one of those things we always talk about. It depends which Terry shows up. Sometimes, you know, we have some fighters, they show up, they're a stud, and then sometimes they show up and they're just a different person than we saw last time. And he's going to be going against Mario Hudgens, who hasn't fought in 5 years. He's currently with Jarrett Block. So it should be a good. I think it'll be a really good matchup. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, how old is Mario?
He's in his 30s.
So when you take off 5 years, 5 years is big in this sport. You know what I mean? Like some people's careers are only 5 years. But that 5 years, he could have been training the entire time, but he could have been training in his prime. So when he comes to fight night, he may be better than we've ever imagined.
That's true.
Now, Terry Copeland obviously has a tough gym, one of the top gyms in the area. Jordan's always stressed that his strength of schedule it's almost, I don't want to say it's second to none, but it's a murder row. You know what I'm saying? So this fight has the potential to be a lot of fun. You know, I hope that Terry puts everything behind him and he just shows up and he's ready to scrap, because that could turn this into the fight of the night.
But and as a pro or as an amateur, that's kind of what you want to do, right? You want to take tough fights so that way if you do go pro, you're prepared for anything.
Yes and no. You've got to take smart fights. Okay, you've got some of these guys who are 2-7, but they're just straight killers in the gym because they take these terrible fights. Like if you are a stud so I came up kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of smart fights. The reason I had smart fights was because I'm not fighting D1 All-American wrestlers. Right. You know, I'm not going to go out there, and it was never on the table, but I was never going to go fight a guy like Jordan Dowdy. Okay, Jordan Dowdy, black belt, heavy wrestler, subpar striking, but it's there. But that's a terrible matchup for me, right? I openly know this. I admit this. Now, I would fight a guy like Jordan all day, every day. But that's where the coaches, they set these, they make these fights. They pick the smart fights. Your management picks smart fights. So yes, you want to fight tough guys, but you got to have smart fights, right? When you turn to a professional level, you've got to keep that same mindset. But if you want to make that jump to the next level, you fight anybody.
And I think Terry's the guy that he builds a couple wins and he's going to launch.
Yeah,
he gets a little momentum. Momentum is a big deal. Once you start streaking some stuff together there, that's what I'm waiting to see out of him. One of these times he's going to catch it. And
Absolutely.
He's going to go.
And then just to circle back, I would beat Jordan if we fought. Just want to make that very clear.
Jordan starts reading the paper.
Well, no, I'm going to end up having to roll with him here soon, and it's not going to.
It'll be off camera. So
he's going to whisper sweet nothings in my ear as he's breaking my arms and things.
Did we mention Jordan Dowdy's a black belt?
Yes, he is. He's a very, very should have been there a while ago.
So next up, we have our ladies going at it at 130 pounds. It is a catch weight. We have Julia Boyd taking on Joy Connolly.
Those are always fun, female fights,
fun, yeah.
because they seem to be more technical for the most part. I mean, they really have to be to train with some of the guys in the gym, and they're scrappy. I mean, some of these female fights, they just were born to not like each other, and then afterward, they're good friends.
Well, how many times have we, when we were commentating, be like, all right, boys, you got something to follow? Because, I mean, the ladies bring it. They
exactly.
They just...
The women here in NFA, they come to scrap. And Jordan hit the nail on the head. To train with a male, now I know everybody's all these equal rights, this and that. Men are built different than women. In order to hang with a 170-pound dude and you're a 130-pound chick, you've got to be tighter, you've got to be faster, and you've got to be a little bit more elusive and things like that. So all these women are definitely, they're there with a high skill set, high skill level, even if it is a debut, and they're looking to put on a show and always get away with a kind of a fight of the night, big highlight reel performance.
And they're usually in the talk for it, usually. Next up, so this is a fight I'm actually excited about. Scott Marler versus Doug Anderson at 185.
And Scott Marler, looking at it, I thought he had more fights because I feel like he's been around longer than this and got a lot more experience.
What happened was he ended up being retired in 2020. The reason why he wanted to come out of retirement is he has a teammate on the card that he wants to fight with, and that's.
How do you retire as an amateur?
He just stopped, but he's been training the whole time. He's been training the whole time.
I use those words, so maybe it's my fault.
Yeah, I get confused when people retire and they're an amateur. It's like, so you just quit doing your hobby.
I tell people semi-retired in my case because you never know, but
but you're a professional.
And I'm 100% retired. I'm just putting that out there now.
So, Scott Marler, solid purple belt, very solid purple belt. It's got good team down there around him. They've been building a lot of good. Like you said, he's got other guys fighting on this card. So he's on a 2-fight win streak. And his jiu-jitsu in the matches we've seen him, it's pretty solid. It's pretty technical. And he's got a heavy top game. And if he gets you down, he will methodically move you to a position to submit you or beat you into the TKO.
Well, and he's going against Doug Anderson, who's one of those guys we always talk about. The record does not equal their talent. He's had some really hard fights at him.
That goes on that same line of you got to have smart fights. Now, I don't know his record. I don't know who he fought. I don't know how he trains. I don't know how he looks in the gym. But he's got 4 fights from what we can see, 1-3. In 2 fights, he's at a 500 record. Then 4 fights, he's at a winning record, and he looks pretty good. So it's an easy turnaround. But this will be a tough fight to try to start that turnaround momentum. You know what I'm saying?
He's with a good gym, though. He's with a CMMA.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I'm not in the gym. There's
Right,
guys that you see in the room that are like he passed away, but Ryan Sutton in the gym was the toughest guy in the room. But when it was under the lights, he was god awful. Like he would break
the pressure.
And I think that's how he was in his wrestling career and stuff like that. And some people just are better training partners than they are fighters. You know, and I'm just saying, I don't know if he's like that. Maybe he's a killer in the room. Maybe he's, like for me, I was never the best one in the room. But on fight night, most of the time I would show up.
Still isn't. Just saying.
I'm still not.
Well,
no.
and in Doug's case, one of the guys we're going to talk about later, Corey Donovan, when they fought, he gave Corey his toughest fight, and Corey's been blowing through everybody else he's stepped in there with. And that was a really good fight that ended, I believe it was like right towards the end of the 3rd round. That was a great experience for both of them.
Well, that's one of those where Corey Donovan at the time wasn't really known. So that's probably, they took the fight and then they found out who Corey was, as we all did. And that's, So that does happen quite a bit. So then after that, we're going to have Cutter Prater versus Herman Rich, 145.
Yeah, Cutter Prater, whenever he fought in August on that show, I thought he looked pretty solid, pretty technical, good wrestling, athletic. I'm interested to see what he's been working on as he comes back to this fight. And he's, according to what's online, which you never really know, could be fake news all over the internet, right? He lost his last one, but he won his debut. And I remember being impressed with what he brought in his debut. And I remember us talking about that then. But here he's got tough Herman Rich, again, out of Wise Warriors MMA.
We talked about it earlier, hard gym. Most of Herman's wins have been by strikes. So that's something to look at. It's going against a submission gym. Adam, you got any comments?
When you say it's wins by strikes, does that mean TKOs or does that mean stand up?
It's been both. It's been TKOs and ground.
Yeah. So here's the deal: is if you got a jiu-jitsu guy, but you have some good ground and pound, I don't want to say it negates it, but it definitely changes the course of things.
A black belt gets punched, they go down a belt. Yeah, we hear that all the time.
Yes. That's kind of like an old school mentality, but it is somewhat true, right? Because all these guys are mixed martial artists. They're not just a jiu-jitsu guy. You're not just one dimensional anymore. Like I came up a kickboxer. That I might be I'm the old guy. Nobody does that anymore. Nowadays, it's kind of like Evan Elder, who trains everything and is good at everything.
The phenom who lives up to his name.
Who is fighting next week for the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and another thing I found interesting is Herman Rich is going down to 45.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is his first or second time, but it looks like as he's getting more experience, his body's trimming up, and he's trying to find what's the optimal weight class to compete at. Because there's a weight class you can make, and then there's the optimal weight class you should be at.
Right.
For years, I fought at the one I can make, not the optimal one. And I kind of like that he's trying to figure this out early on.
Well, we also have those guys, too, that fight at a weight class, and people are like, well, they probably should go in a weight class, and they're like, well, make me. And sometimes it takes them losing to get them to go to the actual weight class as well. So that could be a possibility as well. Next up, we got Noah Zahn versus Dan Harina in a kickboxing match at 205.
So there wasn't much out there on Noah for some reason, but I've actually trained with him. He is long. He is lanky. He's got a tricky jab, and he's one of those kids that come in the room and immediately you're like, oh, okay, I can't play with this kid. and he's got a lot of potential. So I'll be interested to see what he's been working on since I've seen him last. But whenever I was sharing the mats with him, he was a lot of fun to work with. He was one of these young kids you're like, if you stay here, just keep working. This is going to be fun to watch. So I'll be interested to see this because he's going to go up against a game opponent, Dan Harina.
Dan Harina, if you're local into kickboxing, you know who he is. Adam, you know quite a bit about him, don't you?
Yeah, so Dan is he's a friend of mine. B, I've trained with him a handful of times, a bunch of times. He's coming off a win against a guy named Alec Champion out at ESMMA. It was a good fight, real legit heavyweight fight, right? Now Dan, I believe, used to fight at 185, maybe 205. He's a big boy, but he has zero problem getting in there, throwing hands, and just he'll take one to give one, and someone's going to go to sleep. And I say that he kind of gained some weight to be a heavyweight, but he still has a gas tank, right? That's one thing I do know is Dan works on his gas tank, and he can go. He'll be able to go all 3 rounds. I'm excited for this fight because it is kickboxing. That's what I kind of, it's like my bread and butter. That's what I like. It'll be fun. Dan's got a little bit more experience, but like Jordan said, Noah, tough guy in the training room.
Well, you're talking about Dan's last fight. He actually reached out to me before that fight and said, "Hey, if I don't get cut or anything, I'd like to do back-to-back." And that's actually why he ended up getting on.
I'm glad he's on the card. I'm glad he's on one of these finally. And he's going to be here because, he's a goofball. He has fun with it, and I'm going to be glad to watch one because I'm not going to one of the other ones he's done.
Yeah, when he was in my inbox, I got excited about it, so I ain't going to lie about that. All right, then the next two we're going to talk about, I am very excited about these next 3 fights for sure. So I want to start off by saying Clarkson Stith, unfortunately, is hurt. So we have a vacated 170-pound title, and that's going to be between Jacob Hiley and Jacob Fry. And that's going to be obviously 170 pounds. But I just want to point out that Clarkson Stith didn't lose the title. He is injured. So we have a vacated title, which I'm sure he'll get a title shot when he comes back.
Yeah, he had some cleanup to be done in his knee last year. Yeah. So he's back to hitting mitts and getting to training now. So whoever wins this fight, that'll be a good setup for him to come back for it. I've been talking with him. He's excited about coming back. So it was good timing to do it over the winter. But I know Jacob Hiley, very skilled.
Very skilled. And I've had a hard time finding him a fight. And luckily for me, Jacob Fry did step up. He's more known in the Arkansas area. He's second overall in welterweights in the amateur Arkansas circuit. He's 8th in the United States. So, he's definitely a game opponent.
And I don't understand why it's hard finding these guys fights. When they used to have rankings and they would put them out and you saw the names of the people above you, you would contact the promoters and go, "This is who I want." Where did that go?
I'll be honest, a lot of times when I am trying to match up top guys, they don't want to fight each other, and I don't know why, especially at the amateur level. I can sometimes, pro, you want to maybe wait till you get a bigger show, but like amateur level, I don't understand that.
Fight each other.
Yes.
And then train with each other afterward when you're pros.
So since me and Jordan took over the thing, you got anything to say?
No, you guys nailed it. That's just going off of paper, that is a fight of the night candidate.
And then the next fight I had for the last show, unfortunately Corey Donovan got hurt, so it got delayed to this show. But this one is actually the one I'm most excited for the night. Nothing against anybody else. I've just been waiting for this fight for a while. It's for a 185-pound title. It's Corey Donovan versus Chris Connors, and somebody's O's got to go. These are 2 undefeated fighters.
Why do you got to say that?
Corey Donovan, very impressive. Every time I've seen him, even from his debut with that Doug Anderson fight, that was a great fight. And I know the last time he had an opponent that was kind of a short notice one, he just kind of blew through him. But you can see the progression there each time he comes out. Each time he gets a little bit more experience. And all of his wins were impressive. 3 wins and going on. Here for an 85 title. There was another guy, Drake Marconi, at one point I was wanting to see him fight, but I guess that guy went off to do something else. But that was a fight on paper. I'm like, I want to see that one next. So maybe that can be in the future. But he's going against Chris Connors, who I don't really know much about, but everybody's telling me this kid's a killer.
Well, he beat one of our ex-champions and Tivon Taylor. So he's definitely a game opponent. He's ranked 7th in the Kansas City, Missouri area. Corey's 6th. So there you go with your top ranking, 2 guys that are willing to actually step up.
Good. I'm excited to watch it.
And the nationwide, it's 26th versus 29th. So they're also, they're good throughout the U.S.
Oh,
too,
for sure.
So.
And you got to think of the pool they're getting pulled from. There's a lot of people in that weight class in that area. So.
And Chris, you come from a good gym. I'm excited to watch you, man.
Yeah, that fight, like I told you, that's my fight that I'm looking the most forward to. Our main event is a pro fight between Michael Baines and Antonio Gladney. Now, Michael, this is a last-minute step up for him. Unfortunately, Irfan, I always mess up his last name, Mola Bulich, something like that.
Mola
Mola thank you, Gordon. Had to pull out. He got injured, and Michael stepped the last minute. Equal records. I think it's going to be a great fight. You got Stryker against kind of a scrappy ground guy.
Yeah, and when you look at the team Michael Banks come from, he was listed from Caveman Crew. If that's still true, because you never know when affiliations switch anymore, but if he's still there, they've brought tough fights when they come into town. They're fun to watch. And he's coming off an RNC loss, like you said, probably more of a striker. But one thing that stood out to me is, as a lightweight, he's 6'2". So he's taller than me. He's going to have some length, and those guys are fun to watch, especially when they learn to use takedown defense with the length that they have with their legs and their hips high off the ground. So I'd be interested to see what he's going to bring against Ontario Gladney.
Oh, he also has a rear naked choke win, too.
Yep, he does.
Rear naked choke. You sound like that,
naked choke.
that
naked.
one nerdy-ass announcer.
Oh, my feelings are not hurt. So Ontario Gladney, yeah, so he's out of Tapilio. I said it wrong earlier. Tapilio Jiu-Jitsu Academy. He's from Mississippi, and like I said, he's from what I've noticed, he has a decent ground. He's pretty well-rounded fighter. Yeah, he'll go in there and bang. He also has a decent ground game.
Yeah, most of these guys are well-rounded. Most of them, you have nowadays.
The pro level too. Yeah.
Yeah, nowadays you have boxing, kickboxing, then Muay Thai, and then you got these guys that come in and they throw in their wrestling and then their jiu-jitsu, but they don't just do one thing. Like usually it's multiple skill sets, training a day with some strength conditioning. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. But these guys are not well-rounded. They're well-rounded. They're not just one-dimensional anymore. So that, and these guys at a pro level with a little bit of experience, they're here to put on a show. Both guys kind of from out of town. One from Kansas City and, you said Caveman Crew.
Yeah.
That has been a hard-nosed gym for a very long time, 20 years.
Yeah, he was at least there at some point. We're not sure if that's still the gym he's with, but
Sure it is. It sounds cool.
It works. So I don't know if you guys could tell, we are obviously very excited about these fights. Again, it's Bally Sports Live, Ballpark Village, St. Louis, Missouri. Tickets are still available. Not many though. We only have general admission left. The rest are sold out, but you can still get some GAs. And then if you miss out on that, live on pay-per-view at nemesisfightingalliance.com.
Also, that's a really nice jersey you have there.
Yeah, it is. Look at that. This is new merch. We're not sure if we're going to sell masks yet. There was a pre-order for them. The pre-order is over, but depending, I guess, on the popularity, we may do it again for another show.
And what brand made that?
Oh,
that's Imposed Will.
Imposed Will.
Adam
yeah.
Meredith.
Adam
has a
Meredith.
brand
I
Imposed
knew that.
Will.
I just wanted you guys to shout him
Yes.
out.
Yeah. Well, you could have done it.
No.
No.
Brand
Lance-
awareness, man. You guys are aware.
Lance would have stuttered through it.
I would have started through the whole thing. I've been pretty good this
It's
casting,
a jiu-jitsu
right?
brand,
Yeah, I know.
nope.
I know.
Adam Meredith does not want to be known as a jiu-jitsu brand. He's starting with jiu-jitsu, but it's just a lifestyle apparel company.
Very true. I was just digging.
He's digging at me because
Yes.
like I said, I'm fully retired. That
I can
includes
get you a
jiu-jitsu.
white belt rash guard at a discount, probably.
If I come back, I ain't giving up the purple belt. Even if I'm not at that level anymore, I'm not giving it up. I worked too hard to get it. So, anyway, we're going to sign off here. Again, general admission tickets are still available, or we got us on pay-per-view at nemesisfightingalliance.com.